Hi there and welcome to my channel. Today's project is for Altenew as I am part of their new blog hub for the Build of Flowers Sweet Violet release. And this stamp and die set is very versatile. There's a lot you can do with it. It's a very simple shape and you can actually cluster them to create, I want to say like more fuller image. I'm showing you right now the page that comes with the stamp that gives you a few examples what you can do. And also I'm going to show you a few of the cards that I created. Like I said, it's a way to actually cluster. I used them to emboss some vellum, but this time I want to use it to create a layout for my small family album, which is my life crafted album from Citrus Swiss Kit. So I'm going to just stamp them straight onto white cardstock. And the cardstock that I'm using for the flowers is Vicky Boutin mixed media paper. I like the fact that it's really thick and it's going to take the ink really nicely. So I'm starting with just black ink for the outline. I'm going to keep them very white. My idea is to have a lot of color in the background and keep them white. So I'm going to skip, after I stamp the outline, I'm going to skip actually the part where you add the color and just go into the veining and the detailing of the flower. And for this, I am going to use actually it's limestone and the gray tones. I just want something, I want to keep the flowers pretty white. So I'm just going to use this gray tones just to create the veining while maintaining the whiteness of the flower. Super simple to layer because the veining is going to take care of all the petals. And all you're going to add the shading parts that come in the build of flower are just going to help you kind of give the little dimension in between the petals. So it's very simple. You're gonna see, I'm gonna show you just the bigger flower, and then I'm gonna take it off the flower and the leaf, and I'm gonna take it off camera. Now just to give the little bit more of I'm gonna say clarity to the flower, not leave it so white, I'm gonna add a few accents of yellow to the center, kind of where the center of the flower, the pollen is placed. And I think this gives plenty of detail to the flower. Like I said, the veining does a lot of the work, and I try to keep them very white, so I added all the veining. Now the leaves are super simple to stamp too. Again, I'm using black for the outline, but this time around, I'm gonna use a combination of two greens. I'm starting with Misty Mountain, it's Misty Mountain, I believe. And after that, I am going to go with frayed leaf and evergreen just to add the depthness. And this is going to add just like a minty tone to them that was going to combine really nicely with the whiteness of the leaves. Of the flowers. And I'm going to take it off camera and actually stamp the rest of the flowers and also die cut them with the coordinated die. Super simple. You're going to see that I stamped quite a bit of them. I'm going to say the flower that's facing forward, and the other flower that comes in the set is like a little slant look of the flower. Now, I am going to continue building my layout. And for this, I've created two, pretty much this is what fits inside my little album. And these inserts are 5 by 8.25, sorry. And like I said, this is for my Life Crafted album from Citrus Twist Kit. And all I'm doing is, actually this is bass or marshmallow cardstock. And I'm just adding gesso because I'm going to add a little bit of watercolor to this. And my idea is I'm going to create kind of a border on this layer. So once the gesso dried, I am actually going to work with the watercolor set from Altenew, and I'm going to add quite a bit of blue. I want something very vivid so it stands, creates a nice background behind the flower. I started by just adding a few drops of the paint and the watercolor in this case to the paper and just moving it around with my brush. And you're gonna see that I wasn't too happy. I actually like what it looks like, but I wanted to stretch the color a little bit more. So I'm gonna bring a piece of plastic and kind of stretch the color a little bit. You're gonna see me that I'm gonna play a little bit with the plastic, moving the watercolor, but along the way I'm actually gonna add quite a bit of drips. And you're going to see that I pick up the paper, in this case the layout, and kind of lift it to one side and tilt it. And that's just going to create the natural drips. And that's all I'm going to do. My idea is to have kind of a bluish background with some drips, kind of create, I think of it a triangle. I want the drips to go down the page and also to the right of the page in this case, so that can extend to the other side. And once I'm happy with it, I'm just going to set it aside to dry. And I'm going to work on the other side of the layout, the other little cardstock that you see on the screen, and I'm gonna pretty much create the same but not as big. So again, I'm gonna start playing with the watercolor. You're gonna see me that this time around all I'm gonna do is kind of work with drips. I am gonna bring the plastic just to spread the color or the watercolor in this case a little bit faster, and then again I'm gonna play with just drops and just kind of creating those drips. I don't want something Even though it looks really messy, a lot of it's going to be covered with the flowers. You're going to see just little peaks of the blue, and that's what I chose, a very vivid blue. Before I set this aside to dry, and pretty much they're done, I'm going to put the two pages together. You're going to see right now. And all I'm going to do is kind of add the splatter so that it doesn't look like blocks. I'm going to try to stretch the, in this case, the drips that I'm adding, or the droplets. I'm going to try to stretch them within the two pages so that they have a unified look. You're going to see right now that I put the pages together, and I just add my droplets or of paint in this case, or watercolor, just so like it creates the movement and a continuous look between the two pages. And then I'm going to set it aside to dry. There's no much it's going to take a little while longer to dry than regular watercolor, just because I have the yeso. But I really love what this looks like. Like I said, even though it looks scary, it's going to dry really nicely, and a lot of it's going to be covered with the flowers. So what I did outside of the camera is I used a piece of the Verdant Walk paper from Altenew just to back my picture, and I added a piece of foam adhesive behind it just because I want to create the lift. And all I'm going to do is put it on the left hand side of my layout where they have the biggest watercolor background, and then I'm just going to start playing with the flowers. And like I mentioned before, this flower is super fun because you can actually cluster them to create like I'm going to say a more fuller look to the page. So all I'm going to do is play with a lot of the white flowers that I have stamped. You're going to see me that I'm going to add some foam adhesive in some places. Sometimes I'm going to add double foam adhesive just to give it the extra lift. I'm going to take a part of this out of camera too, because I played a lot with the configuration of the flowers, and I'm going to bring some of the leaves too. And like my idea was, like I said, I wanted to create a big cluster, sort of like my picture was nestled on it. And I set the left hand side on the side a little bit to sit, because it was kind of giving me a hard time with the idea. And I went to work on the right hand side where I'm going to add my title. And that was super simple. I just clustered a little bit to make it look like the flowers were falling. And then I'm going to go back again with the picture. I placed my picture and just going to add some of the flowers. You're going to see that I'm going to add a few that look like is above the picture, sort of like coming behind the picture and or sitting above the picture. And then I just play with some of the leaves. Like I said, I had this idea in my brain, and I wanted to look like what I had. And my idea was, I just had like think of a cascade of grapes. That's the same idea that I wanted to create with this. So I had a hard time putting it together. Sometimes my brain works in different ideas, but I love the fact that it's so much, it's so wide, but the veining helps to define it. And I had to take it off camera just to play a little bit more with the configuration. Now what I'm going to do, remember how I added the watercolor so that it continued in the two pages? I'm going to do the same with the flowers. So you're going to see that the flower that I'm putting on top, I put foam adhesive on both sides of the paper, and I'm going to kind of put them together and put the flower in place. And then I'm going to flip the paper and cut it right along the division line, and that's going to create the perfect setting for the flower in both sides. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use my punch, my punch to create the holes for this to go in my album. After that, super simple decoration. There's no need for much. I'm gonna create the title using the alphas from the Live Your Dream scrapbook set. I love the font. I love the fact that there's black. I'm playing with a lot of black and white, and I'm just bringing some of break the color, the blue and the green. So I'm not gonna need much. I'm gonna bring a few stickers from my stash, and they're also white. I brought the little wooden heart, and that comes from the wood veneer stickers from Altenew. And then the stamp set has a word that says sweet. And this is a picture of my baby, and we took a nap. And my baby's a bit sucky. He likes to be held. So my kids took the picture of me holding my baby. So I've just put the word sweet. I'm going to add my lines to journal right underneath where I place the title. And then just a few drips of gold ink. That's all it's going to take to complete this page. I really love how this turned out. Like I said, having the flowers of white and just creating that veining with the gray ink gives a lot of definition and helps me just define them. Love how this turned out. Super simple. The cluster of flowers just give that extra pop on the layout. And I hope you try it. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me and hop onto my blog so you can join in the fun and also have a chance to win some gift certificates. The link is in my description box. Take care, guys.